So, Paul, what level are you right now?
Well, I am level 7 right now.
Oh
I,
man.
yep, I have this morning did wonders for me going
So yeah, tell me what you did this morning. I heard a little bit about it, but where did you go?
yeah, so ultimately it's kind of become part of my normal morning routine at this point to open up Pokemon Go and take the phone off the bedside table, open it up and see if there are any Pokemon in my bedroom to
Oh my
catch.
God.
It's it's a good time. There are plenty of drowsies that are all around me, which is kind of fitting, I guess. But caught enough of them that I'm able to. I did just evolve into my first Hypno now, so that is
Okay.
exciting. But anyway, yeah. So this morning I kind of did that and looked around, and I do live in a little more of an urban area, and I did see down the block, about 2 blocks away, there's a nice intersection with a couple different. There are, I think, 4 different Pokestops,
Uh-huh.
all pretty much one on each corner of the same intersection. And there's a convenient Subway sandwich shop right there. And I decided, you know what? I could go for a breakfast sandwich this morning because whenever I looked at these 4 Pokestops, all 4 of them had incense, like, Pokemon lures on them. And and that got me a little excited. So I put on my shoes and went on down, and I think I caught like 9, or I think I caught 9 different Pokemon this morning, just between Pidgeys, Weedles. There was a
Uh-huh.
Shelder. There were what else was there? There was a Krabby. There were 2 Magikarp. There were a lot of water Pokemon this morning, so
Oh
it
man.
was a pretty productive trip.
Is
But
there something that links the water Pokemon to a certain area? Like does it have to be like near a lake or anything?
yeah, I think there is a certain amount of like geographic um, positioning kind of thing that I mean I am up in Connecticut, and there are a number of lakes, and at least there is a small river that goes near my apartment that maybe the game picks up. That seems that there are a number of water Pokemon in the area that I've gotten the fortune of catching.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so it was a pretty good morning. It was a pretty good morning.
The way that I'm situated is I'm in like a kind of rural area, so there's nothing in the vicinity of my house.
Yeah,
If I see anything, so there'll probably be like three, maybe like showing up on like the tracking screen,
yeah, yeah.
and they all kind of occur up the road in this like gated community that I would have to kind of like walk past the gate to get in,
Oh
and
no.
like risk getting like weird looks from all these people driving around on like Lexus and like different nice cars with these like amazing houses, and I'm like, oh, don't mind me, just walking down the sidewalk with my cell phone.
Hey,
I'm sure you know what I'm doing, but whatever.
hey,
Um,
that's the Pokemon Go life now.
yeah,
Just
it
gotta
really
accept it.
is. But there's not really. So that's kind of the way it is. I'm off a main road, and there's a large residential area, like a suburb type, complex near me.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, me and Emily yesterday were walking around and trying to catch stuff,
yeah.
but there were people out like in their backyards, like having fun. We're just like, okay, just don't like
Just
pay attention to us, like
don't
looking
mind
like we're
us.
trying
Yeah.
to videotape your house or anything like that. And we're like, oh, there might be something in your backyard, but hey, we'll just leave that to you. You can have that one, I guess.
We'll let your kids
Um,
find that one.
yeah, but besides that, all I've been doing is catching them, and that's it. I don't know anything about it as far as, the gyms. I think I went to one Pokestop so far
Yeah.
where I got a couple Pokeballs. That was back up near my parents' house where they have a community center across the street from their house. So I
Right,
was like,
right.
oh, what's this? This was right after downloading the app.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but I got some insight yesterday. Okay, so here's the story about my new phone now.
Okay.
So before I had an LG LTE Leon, which we are with T-Mobile, and we were due for an upgrade. They have this jump program where you can jump phones, like you can trade in your phone to get a new one. Like I think a couple times a year, depending on what plan you have. Me and Emily have the plan where you can get a new phone once within a year period, or I think it's actually once your current phone is halfway paid off, you can trade it in for a new one. So it's really weird. I mean, you have to pay attention to this kind of stuff if you want to like actually get kind of like use the system properly. But we go in because after downloading the app and walking around trying to catch Pokemon, we're like, wait a second, the AR isn't working on our phone. And I was like, couldn't find on any websites that gave all these tips. None of them said why like AR would work. They said like, oh, check your phone's location, turn it on and off, all that kind of stuff. But I took to Reddit and I was like, hey guys, this is the kind of phone I have, this is the kind of phone my fiance has, AR isn't working, what could be the problem? They were like, you need a gyroscope in your phone. which means that if you are looking through your camera, it needs to be able to read where your phone is pointing in 3D space. So like, is it tilted so that it can track the Pokemon on the screen and everything like that.
I gotcha.
And we were like, oh man. So the next day we're like, all right, we're due for a new phone. We can jump. So let's go to T-Mobile and see if we can get a phone with a gyroscope.
Nice.
So we go there, and wouldn't you know, our T-Mobile rep, shout out to Ty at T-Mobile in Greenville, South Carolina, is like a gym leader somewhere in Greenville.
So he totally understands.
Yeah, he was like, all right, let me hook you up. And so he was talking about us. He was talking to us about how, you know, there's like these spots in like downtown and all this kind of stuff, and there's a gym, and like there's all the people you'll look and they'll be on their phones and everything. But we had a great conversation with him. It was pretty awesome. But we ended up going with the Samsung Galaxy S5, which is, they were both certified pre-owned.
Nice.
And they have gyroscopes in them. Didn't cost that much more a month to upgrade to those, so we're pretty much set. But like I said, after that, I pretty much, all I know is how to catch them. I don't understand what these, for the most part, what these candies are about, what these lures are about. So this is one of the main reasons why I think we're going to be benefiting from this podcast. I think you're going to be telling me exactly how I can use these different objects and what's going on within the community that we can jump in and see what's going on. Maybe report a couple things, but ultimately we're going to become Pokemon Masters for sure.
That's the ultimate goal. You got to catch them all.
Mm-hmm. So, what kind of stuff? I've been looking online about what's going on with it. The app's only a couple weeks old, but like what kind of stuff have you been looking into in terms of what the community is coming up with and the stuff that you're kind of like looking forward to in terms of what content is out there for that goes along with the app?
Right. Well, the main thing I'm really focused on at this point is getting. I've caught a number of the first evolutions. The basic, very common Pokemon, your typical Weedles and Pidgeys and whatnot. I've really been focusing on getting the evolutions and getting them to evolve, which to me is a lot of fun. Is kind of having your own army of Pokemon, so to speak, and raising them and bringing them up the way that you want them to be, and so like you were saying, so with regard to evolving and moving your Pokemon forward, that there are a couple of different elements to this game when it comes to, I guess, different items or collectibles, whatever you'd want to call them. That you have the candies that are specific to your Pokemon, and they have the Stardust, which it's just a general, almost like an experience kind of thing. It doesn't count towards leveling yourself up or whatnot. It's really leveling your Pokemon up. But those are kind of the two collectibles, the two objects that you end up using in order to make your Pokemon stronger and that you can hopefully eventually become more competitive in the gym atmosphere, or just bragging rights to your friends, who knows. But yeah, so that's really where I've been focusing on lately, and probably the number one piece of advice that I've read on the internet and from firsthand experience what what I know is you really just you catch them all. It's that simple.
Uh-huh.
You doesn't you catch multiples of all the Pokemon you have. You catch as many Pokemon as you can. You have 250 slots in your I don't know, your Pokemon bag, I guess. You can have up to 250 Pokemon that you own. So use it and just get as many as you can. For every Pokemon that you catch, you'll notice, during the little success screen after you successfully catch one, it'll say you get 100 experience points for catching the Pokemon. You get maybe 500 experience points for getting a new breed of Pokemon that you've never seen before. But in addition to those experience points, which level you up as a trainer, you get some of those 2 items we talked about earlier, the candies and the Stardust. For every Pokemon that you catch, doesn't matter whether it's new, whether it's old, every Pokemon that you catch, from my experience at least, you get 3 candies. It's possible, I guess, maybe you could get fewer, maybe you could get more, but it seems like every time for me, I get 3 candies of that specific Pokemon. So if I catch a Drowsy, I'll get 3 Drowsy candies or whatnot. And then you'll also get a certain amount of Stardust, which I think varies depending on what... I don't know, maybe your level or rank or whatnot, but you get a certain amount of Stardust as well every time that you catch a Pokemon. And from there you can use, like I said, you can use those 2 items to power up your Pokemon, which kind of gives them higher combat points, gives them higher health points, hit points, whatever you'd like to call it, and ultimately makes them stronger. And then likewise, if an evolution is available, if you are capable of evolving your Pokemon, then that option is also available for a specified number of candies.
Okay, so if you're walking down the street and you see one pops up that you already have, it's always pretty much a good idea to just catch it.
Yep. Yeah. It's catching it will, again, it'll give you experience points, which will level up your trainer, which we can kind of get to that in a minute as well, but that's also a very good thing to increase your level. But also, again, it gives you those candies, which gives you the option. You collect enough candies. Some Pokemon require 12 candies. Some Pokemon require, I think a Gyarados requires like 400 candies to get from a Magikarp to a Gyarados. So you want to get as many of those as possible.
So for example, I have 2 Eevees right now. Okay.
Right.
So one of them is level 106, the other one is level 62.
Okay.
And it looks like they have different moves and different level of moves.
Yeah.
Like if I want to, catch, try to get every Pokemon and I have duplicates. What do I do I keep both of them, or should I trade one in to get candy so I can level up my other one? What exactly should I be looking for in terms of having all these number of same Pokemon within the bag here?
Yeah, so the idea again, so you catch as many as possible, which gives you those 3 candies for every Pokemon that you catch. So that'll increase the number of candies you have. You can also transfer your multiple Pokemon, well, really any Pokemon, even if you don't have a multiple, you can transfer it back to the professor. What's his name? Professor Willow, Professor Good Looking.
Yeah.
He's a good looking guy.
Mostly sexual version of Professor Oak, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But so you can
appealing to more audience there.
Yeah. They do their best. But so you can transfer your Pokemon back to him by going into your Pokemon bag, I guess, and going into that same menu screen where you can power up and see all your stats. Scrolling all the way to the bottom is that little transfer button that you can get the quote-unquote extra candy for. It kind of gives you a reward for I guess for catching all those Pokemon.
Okay.
And so that's the additional way that you can get those candies. Now, how you decide who you want to keep and who you want to trade in, that's kind of that has a couple of different factors. It's very subjective, based on what numbers, I guess, you find more important. So the one thing that you brought up, well, you brought up a number of things, but the one of the things would be the combat points, the level number, which is, you can typically, I guess, typically the higher number, the better for that combat point. But at the same time, whenever you take a look at each individual Pokemon, you can see there's kind of an arc of your combat points whenever you look at your Pokemon statistics.
Oh yeah.
And so that kind of tells you how much potential your Pokemon has. So say you have, a level 60 or a level 80 EV or whatnot, but that arc is almost entirely full, and then you have a level 70 EV that the arc is only half full or something like that, then it might be worthwhile to keep that level 70 EV who has that better potential, who can achieve the higher combat points than than another Pokemon. So that is one thing. Another thing would be the moveset, which is another thing you brought up.
Oh my god.
That is a little more. I haven't been very involved with the gyms and with battles themselves, so I really don't know how important that is. The moveset versus just straight up how built your Pokemon is, what your CP level is. But that could also be a personal preference kind of thing, is that you might want to keep a Pokemon that has some cooler sounding moves or more type associated moves, instead of just two normal moves. Maybe you want to keep an EV that has a ground move that has dig, or that has an electric move that has some sort of thunder shock or something like that. That's kind of your preference.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That definitely makes sense. I think for now I'm probably just gonna collect as many as possible, and probably later on, if I start getting involved with the gyms, then maybe I'll start going through them and be like, okay, I don't need this one. Yep. I might want to trade him in for a candy so I can evolve this one that I have that I want to kind of start to breed for the for nice stats and nice moves and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess what are some of the items that you've used? I know that when you start the game, you start out with a couple just free items, and once you level up, you can get more. But what are the ones that I guess that you've used just starting out in terms of feeling your way around and kind of I don't know, just getting used to the game and using stuff just to collect more Pokemon?
Okay. Yeah. So I've of course I think everybody has used a Pokeball at this point. But
yep.
You get I'm not sure what the number is that you start with. It might be 75 or 100. I'm not sure. You get a ton of Pokeballs.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. Which is good, because I've wasted probably 50 trying to catch
that is
random things.
That is definitely true. And yeah, so you obviously when to use those, and you use those to catch Pokemon. As we level up, I can't remember the exact level numbers off the top of my head. I want to say it's level 8 and level 10 or something. I can't remember. But as we level up, you get improved Pokeballs. You can get Great Balls and Ultra Balls even that help the increase the chances, increase the odds of you successfully capturing a higher level Pokemon, or any level Pokemon for that matter. But I guess the Great Balls and the Ultra Balls would be more effective against a higher level Pokemon than a regular Pokeball.
Okay, are those part of the game? Those higher level type Pokeballs?
Yes, yeah. Those
okay.
And those only get unlocked again once you get to those higher levels, you as a character, as you gain experience points.
Gotcha.
I am a level 7 right now, so I haven't gotten that far yet, but I have read on Reddit and on different other blog sites that those absolutely do exist.
Okay.
So we have those to look forward to. And then
cool.
There are a couple of kind of lure items that you have, the incense, and and you have the Pokemon lures itself, and those are kind of two different items that they work similarly, but they are different. That you have basically the incense is centered around you, so you can use it, and it kind of lures wild Pokemon that are in your area straight to your location. No matter if you continue to move, if you're on a walk or whatnot, it'll work for 30 minutes and it will bring Pokemon to you.
Okay, so you can walk around when you're using that?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Now that's with an incense. Now with a lure is different. A lure is what I experienced this morning at Subway was that is where you place a lure at a specific Pokestop, and so that is static. That is stationary. That it only works at that Pokestop, and you can see it on your map if, as you scroll around and walk around this Pokemon universe, you see all these. They're almost like flower petals. They're kind of lavender, pinkish flower petals that are kind of falling from the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but that's what a lure is. And
okay. I definitely remember seeing like a Pokestop that had that, and I was wondering, I was like, is that because it's special or because it's close or something like that?
Yeah.
But I guess that makes sense that there was a lure drop there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that and lures likewise also work for 30 minutes, and attract Pokemon that are around the area to that specific location. And I think, from what I understand, one of the big differences between the incense and the lures are that I believe incense only works for you personally. That if I were to use an incense and you were in the room next to me, you would not see an increase in the number of Pokemon. Only I would.
Oh, okay.
However, a lure works for the community, works for everybody that happens to travel to that Pokestop for 30 minutes. So that does benefit everybody, not just yourself. I could be wrong about that.
What are the odds that the lure at the Subway was dropped by the general manager and not another someone who was actually?
I had a very nice conversation with him this morning, and it could have very well been dropped by him. He was spending a lot of time on his phone behind the counter. So.
Right.
But that's very possible. I have I've read a number of stories actually that that store managers, restaurant owners, I'm sure even freaking bartenders are doing similar things where they're dropping lures at their places of interest during, say, peak hours or maybe even off peak hours to attract customers in there. And if each lure only costs like $1 or something, or if you happen to pick one up for free at a given Pokestop or whatnot, then why not? That is kind of that extra incentive to bring people in. So if I wake up every Sunday morning and I see that Subway is lured in, then I'll know it's him.
Gotcha. Well, I think that's actually a pretty good overview of what it is so far. So if somebody on this planet hasn't downloaded the app yet and looked at it for themselves,
not likely.
Maybe this would probably be a good place to start with these items and this basic overview.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. Okay, cool.
Excellent.